Ms. Kirkpatrick? It's recognized for 5 minutes.
I live in Arizona, and I spend about 10 hours a week in the air, so I thank you, Mr. Chairman, for having this hearing, because I think a lot about airplane safety. But I have a really practical question. I mean, I'm very concerned about certification, but, you know, oftentimes, not too frequently, but sometimes I'm on a plane, and the pilot announces there's a mechanical problem, and we sit on the tarmac for a couple of hours. What kind of oversight is there over that repair at that moment when we're sitting in the plane? What kind of oversight standards is there?
Well,
do these certification standards apply to that?
Yeah, typically the mechanics and the airlines have an authority of which to go fix those kinds of issues. They're not necessarily, I mean, that's within the framework of the airlines, and I'm probably not in the best position to be able to answer that, but that's more of an airline maintenance type of approach to things. And these are things that typically come up every time. They have their own certification process, too, for their mechanics and those kinds of things.
So how many certification processes are we talking about here?
Well, it's hard for me to say.
Okay, but you acknowledge there are different certification standards for different areas.
The airlines have theirs, and then we have ours as a manufacturer, yes.
How long, so suppose we go to the risk-based certification process, how long does it take someone to get to that standard where they can do that?
Well, I mean, that would be something that the FAA would probably be in a better position to be able to, but they have the people today that are able to do that. We have people today that are delegated, trained, approved. Like I said, 1,000 people are delegated and approved within the Boeing company's ODA organization that can can approve design, approve installation on the behalf of the FAA.
Here's my concern. We have data that shows that there's about 1,000 people shortage in the certification process. So you have 1,000 at the FAA.
At the FAA, yeah.
Right. And so what I'm trying to get to is how can we streamline, what can this committee do to streamline that hiring process? That's a lot of people. And we still have a lot of people who need jobs.
Yeah, well, we have ours. I think utilizing it to the fullest extent we possibly can in the right areas where there's not the highest risk areas with respect to the airplane itself, that's where we can be utilized so they don't have to use their resources unnecessarily. They can retrain or hire new people that are more systems engineering based, that can provide oversight to those high risk, flight critical areas, as opposed to maybe in some of the areas that we are more capable of and have more detailed capabilities around.
Thank you. Mr. Hinkleman, I appreciate that you're hiring veterans. We have very highly qualified veterans now who are back from Afghanistan and Iraq. Do you find that there could be a streamlining of the certification for veterans who may be already trained to do this kind of work, but have to go through the whole recertification process?
What we find, we hire people from all walks of the services. In other words, if they were working on tanks, if they were working on aircraft, or if they were working on helicopters, they have a certain amount of mechanical skills that they've learned. And so we are able to hire them directly into our facility. And then depending on the experience that they receive and their own abilities, they're able to move up very quickly in our organization. So we don't have a lot of transition, and a lot of the bases have their own transition training back into the public sector. So they're coming directly to us. I would say half of those are referrals from existing veterans that have been in our company in the past year, the last few years. So I get to meet every individual we hire through an orientation process, and I always ask them, how did you find out about us, and why did you decide to join us? And I would say 50% of those are referrals from existing individuals, and in the case of veterans, it's from other veterans. So.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you for that. I yield back my time.